In this video, I want to touch a little bit on algorithms, and to do that, well, on top of me wanting to just tinker around a bit with Visual Studio 2022, I figured we'd go ahead and try to make an algorithm that will reverse the characters of a string. Now, I want to do this without also creating another string to do so. So basically, we're going to be using references to each character to swap them. So basically, I want to turn this is my string and have it print out whatever the heck that pronounces like. So that's going to be our end result. So to begin, we want to include iostream and string. So that way, obviously, we can print out to the console and also just use the normal strings. So to begin, let's go ahead and create the string. I don't know why I tried to see out. So we're just going to do my string and set it equal to this is my string. Then I want to have it printed out. So let's see out my string, and we'll go ahead and end the line. So what all do we need to do? Well, first off, what we're going to have to do is iterate through my string. So we're going to be going character by character and basically taking the first character and swapping it with the last character. So we're going to take this character, hold a temporary value to it, then replace it with this character, and basically use that temporary value to restore the initial one. Not sure if that made sense, but basically we need a temporary character to act as, or temporary char to act as a holder for when we go to swap the first and last. So let's go ahead and iterate over my string. So we're just going to do a normal for loop, and for this one, we are not going to be iterating over every element. Instead, we're going to iterate over half. Because remember, we're replacing 2 at each run. So we're going to be basically taking the count, or the length of my string, dividing it by 2. So to begin, let's go ahead and just do unsigned short int, and let's just call it I equals 0. Then we're going to do I is less than my string dot length divided by 2. And then we just want to increment I. So this will allow us to iterate over half of this string, which is, again, what I stated we want. So next up, we want to go ahead and store a reference to the first and the last character. And we want to make sure the last character on each run is going to do the opposite of what the first character run is going to do. So for example, let me go ahead and we'll just do char by reference, and let's just call it first indexed. And we'll set that equal to my string at the index of I. So what this is going to do, as it's running, this first index is going to hold T, then it's going to hold H, then it's going to hold I, then it's going to hold S, so on and so on. We want to make it so our last indexed does the opposite. So we want it to be G, then we want it to go to N, then we want it to go to I, then R, so on and so on. And we can use that using our control variable I. Basically, I is what we're using to index with. So we're going to take that, take the length of the string, -1, and subtract I from that, and that'll allow us to, as I grows, to subtract farther and farther back to the front of our string. So this is going to be char last indexed is going to equal my string. And again, we want to take the length of the string -1 and then subtract I to it. So that's going to be my string dot length -1 and then subtract I. And I keep forgetting length is a function. And because we're going to be using it on more than one occasion, let's go ahead and just store this really quick into, if I can even spell, a variable. Let's just call it string length. So let's replace it with string length, like so. Alrighty. Now we need our temporary variable, because if we go to and just swap these, we're not really going to be able to do a whole lot. So for example, let's go ahead and swap out the last G here with T. So our last index to our first index. So last indexed equals first indexed. So that'll take care of, that problem. But if we just set last index to first index, well, last index is now equal to first index, so the same. We don't have a way to tell what the value of the last index was. So that's where we get our temporary variable. So that's just going to be char temp last. And we're just going to set that equal to last indexed. So that allows us to perform our swap. So we swap the last index with the first one, so G now becomes T. Now we know temp last is equal to G, so we just got to set the first index to equal our temp last. So first indexed equals temp last. Now let's go ahead and print this out and compare. So GNIRTS YMSISIHT. That looks like it's trying to spell something else that I don't know if I want to say. Anyways, so that was just kind of the general basics, I guess, for reversing a string. So we went ahead and created a basic algorithm that goes ahead and does that for us, because I know this is probably something that's going to, I don't know if this exact problem will come up in your CS class, but something similar will probably appear at some point where you're asked to, well, at least anyways, we were asked to commonly just, here's kind of a general problem out of the book, make a solution for it. So this is just, I guess, one of those examples, but this should kind of allow you to get into a way of thinking of, well, just how can we go ahead and manipulate a current data structure to do what we want. So in a somewhat efficient manner. Because again, we're only iterating over half the string, and we're not really creating or using up much extra memory anyways. We're just simply swapping. We're making use of the variables that we already have exposed to us to iterate through in the reverse order. Just overall a very, in my opinion anyways, a clean way to handle it. Anyways, that is going to be all for this video. If you like what I'm doing and you want to help support me, you can find a link to my Patreon in the description below, where I have a Team Deathmatch series just for patrons for Unreal Engine. And if you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to join my Discord that is also linked down below, and I'll try to help you out. So, I'll see you in the next video.